The Laws of Ascension, Chapter 85, Advice. Now that everyone's gotten a chance to ride them, we're moving on. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Marwan says to the entire class. A few of the students raise their hands while moving to the front of the group. Marwan calls one of their names before they lower their hand. Where did you meet your familiars? Was it in their natural habitats or somewhere else? The student asks while looking at Nixfang and Emberfang. Emberfang was brought to me by my father. My tribe lives on the Moonfell Islands. Some wyverns set up their nest in a ravine on one of the uninhabited islands. My father got an egg from them and gave it to me. Vera replies before turning to Lorik. I found Nixfang in a cave in the woods. I'm not sure what kind of place Fenrir's would call home. Lorik says as Nixfang nods. Marwan calls on another student who raised their hand after Lorik finished answering. How long did it take for them to grow up? I'm aware familiars age faster, but it still varies depending on the monster. The student asks. It took Emberfang a bit over a month to fully grow, Vera replies. I entered Enlightenment shortly after forming a bond with Nixfang. That made her grow up much faster than she would have normally, Lorik says. The two continue answering questions for a while. They get asked questions about what kinds of food they eat to what they do when let out, aside from riding or fighting. As the number of students raising their hands starts to dwindle, Thalia looks at Lorik. He nods, and she smiles before moving to the front. She takes Kalen with her, pulling him by the arm. She raises her hand once she gets to the front with him. I know wyverns are strong monsters and that Fenrirs are legendary monsters, but how exactly strong are they? And what laws do they use? Thalia asks when called on. Emberfang uses the Inferno Law. It's an advanced form of the Fire Law of the second echelon, Vera replies. Nixfang uses the Thermal Fluctuation Law. It's part of the first echelon. As for how strong she is, Lorik replies before trailing off and turning to Vera. What if we have them fight each other for a bit? Just enough to demonstrate their laws and abilities in action. Is that okay with you and Emberfang? And you too, Miss Marwan? Lorik asks while turning from Vera to Marwan. I don't mind, Vera says before turning to Marwan. As long as they don't damage the forest and maintain a distance from the students. They're both lesser mages. Still right? Marwan asks. Yes, they are, Vera replies as Lorik nods. Then that'll be fine. Students, let's back up against the lake, Marwan says after clapping. The students, Vera and Lorik, walk back to the lake. Master, I'm not sure of this. What if someone gets hurt? Leora will get mad, Nixfang says, speaking to Lorik's soul so only he can hear her in his head. It'll be fine. Rabbit or Thalia will make sure Kalen is by himself when we do it, and I'll stay close to take care of it. If for whatever reason I can't, Thalia will save him. She uses the law of speed and is a high-ranking mage, so you can imagine how fast she is. Her speed is on par with Grand Mages already. Lorik replies, getting a sigh from Nixfang in response. The two familiars move to the center of the clearing. They maintain a distance between them and wait. Once Marwan tells them it's okay, they start moving. Nixfang and Emberfang both roar, signaling they're starting. Ice appears around Nixfang, taking the form of ice spears. Flames appear on the corner of Emberfang's mouth. He opens his mouth wide, and flames gather in the air in front of him. Nixfang sends the spears flying straight toward Emberfang, while running off to her left, opposite where the students are. The fire in front of Emberfang's mouth shoots out like a beam. It first connects with the ice spears, melting them in an instant. He turns his head, turning the beam, causing it to follow Nixfang. She stops before charging straight toward Emberfang. She jumps over the beam as it starts to fade. Emberfang roars again, causing flames to appear in the air beside him. It gathers into two large balls of flame on each side. As Nixfang gets close, cold mist starts pouring off her body. Emberfang raises his wings before beating them. The first beat causes arrows to rain down from the fireballs. Emberfang continues beating them as he lifts off the ground. Nixfang's coat of fur gets covered in a layer of ice. It blocks the flaming arrows like armor before she howls. The grass around her freezes as the mist spreads out. It envelops the two fireballs, and they quickly disappear. Emberfang hovers in the air above Nixfang and opens his mouth again. Nixfang roars, causing the ice covering her to grow before cracking and breaking off. It gathers above her into a giant spear of ice as long as she and her tail are. Are you ready, Master? Nixfang asks Lorik as she creates the ice spear. Lorik turns over to look at Kalen. Thalia is still standing next to him, but she's not holding his arm. She sees Lorik looking and smiles before slowly backing away from him. She had moved Kalen about 7 feet away from the other students. He's too focused on the fight to notice Thalia backing away. Thalia brought him over to where Lorik is. He's standing next to Vera, away from the students. Had Kalen been with the other students, they'd have been about 15 feet apart. We're ready. He's all alone, so aim it over here. Lorik replies before hearing her sigh in his mind. If Leora gets mad, I'm ratting you out, Nixfang replies. She and Emberfang finish charging their attacks. Emberfang fires another beam from his mouth. Nixfang sends her spear flying toward him. Her spear pierces the beam, splitting it and melting at the same time. The split beams tear the ground up. I think that's enough for today, Marwyn shouts to Lorik and Vera. All right, Varia shouts back while communicating with Emberfang. Emberfang stops his beam as Nixfang makes her spear stop in the air. It starts cracking before exploding into a cloud of mist. Chunks of ice split off and fly in various directions. One flies straight toward Kalen, who notices it too late. He lets out a shocked shout before Lorik moves. He manipulates the gravity of the area and increases it. The chunk of ice as big as Kalen's arm slams into the ground a few feet in front of him. At the same time, his own gravity gets manipulated. It pulls him back, causing him to fall back on his ass. Lorik runs over and reaches out to pull him up. Sorry about that. Are you all right? Lorik asks as Kalen takes his hand. He pulls Kalen up while manipulating his gravity. Lorik makes him fall against him and grabs him. Kalen? Lorik starts, speaking quietly yet sternly so no one else can hear. He's holding him against his chest, making it seem like he's supporting Kalen after he fell against him. That stalker shit you've been doing with my sister Leora. You're going to stop that now. Otherwise, I'll pay you a late-night visit with Nixfang. Lorik adds while squeezing his hand as hard as he can. He lets go and steps back with a smile. You need to pay more attention to what's going on around you. We don't want you to get hurt. Lorik says as Marwyn runs over to check on Kalen. Are you all right, Kalen? Did you get hit by the ice? Marwyn asks him. Kalen looks at Lorik with a complicated expression before nodding. Yes, I'm fine, he says while turning around. He walks over to the other students without another word. I'm sorry about that, Marwyn. I didn't think her spear would explode like that. Lorik says as Nixfang and Emberfang walk back over. I'm sorry too. I'm not proficient enough with fire to melt my own ice yet. So I thought breaking it into smaller pieces would be better. I didn't think it would travel so far. Nixfang adds. It's fine. No one was hurt, Marwyn says before a bell rings. That's the end of today's class. Make sure to thank Lorik and Vera before leaving. Marwyn shouts to the students. The students all thank them before saying bye. Leora and Thalia say they'll be back for lunch. The next class gathers and goes the same way. The only difference is that Marwyn doesn't let the familiars fight. Instead, she asks them to demonstrate their laws above the lake, with the students to their backs. Once the bell rings after their 4th class, Marwyn tells them it's lunch. Vera and Leora leave the little forest and find Leora and Thalia waiting for them. Emberfang returns to Varia's soul, but Nixfang stays out. Leora marches up to Lorik when she sees him and glares at him. Can I help you? Lorik asks her. What did I say earlier? She asks him angrily. I didn't fight or curse. Lorik replies defensively. Did you threaten anyone? I saw what you did to Kalen. He looked at you fearfully afterwards, too. Leora asks while crossing her arms. You never said I couldn't threaten anyone. Besides, he's fine. I didn't hurt him or anything. I only gave him a bit of advice. Lorik says, causing her to sigh. New rule, no threatening or giving advice to people, Leora says sternly. Fine, I'll try not to. Lorik replies bitterly. Good, now let's go eat, Leora says before turning around. She and Thalia led them to the cafeteria. They disappear after Lorik and Varia find a table. They come back carrying a tray of food each. Lorik and Vera take some food out of their storage rings. They talk for a while after eating until the bell rings again. Lorik and Vera return to the forest as Leora and Thalia head to their classes. There are 3 more classes after lunch, and they all go the same. Once they're over, Marwyn thanks them again and walks them to the gate. After leaving the Institute, they ride Nixfang back to the academy. On the way, Lorik messages Headmaster Arlen about using the academy tickets. He asks how he uses them to open the vaults. Arlen replies immediately, informing him that he simply has to go to the vaults. There's a small building next to the tower that is the headmaster's office. You can spend your tickets to enter the vaults that are held underground. That building is the only way to get to the vaults. Lorik tells Vera he'll drop her off at the dorms before heading to the vaults, but she asks to go with him since she wants to see the headmaster's tower. She hasn't had a reason to go there yet, so after entering the academy, the two ride Nixfang to the headmaster's tower.